All
right, I'll call the meeting of the Industrial Development Agency to order. Do we need a roll call, or have you got everybody down?
I've been in Marcus here.
But I think the only one, we're only missing Jim. So everyone else is present, council, staff. We have the minutes from the November 18th meeting. We've been furnished. Is there any discussion of any items presented by the minutes? With that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as submitted. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? We also have 2 months, November and December, financial reports. And Robin, did you highlight anything that you think is out of the ordinary?
Yeah, so in your packet, you'll see that, like I said, there's for the 2 months, November and December. You do have to approve both months, but there's nothing out of the ordinary. It's, November, though, you'll see fees earned, there's a good chunk we closed. The leases with the New York Pipe solar projects, and we had a big chunk of money coming in for the fees earned on those. And other than that, we didn't really have anything out of the ordinary as far as our expenses. And so when we go over to the month of December, we started out the month with $1,102,442 in cash and $1,515,435 in invested funds. Again, we had some fees earned. We did close with Beer Justice, yeah, that's what it was. We closed Beer Justice, and we've got some money in terms of our pilot lease fees for the year. And just the management fee, the biannual management fee for the BAC and the business center came in. And other than that, we had our normal monthly expenses. We ended up the month with $1,127,131 in cash and $1,515,487 in invested funds.
Any questions, any discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the financial reports for November and December of 2021.
I move to approve the November, December.
Let's second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
The next item to review is the investment report, which is included in the package. Which I think is self-explanatory, but if there's anything you'd like to add, Robin, feel free.
No, there's nothing really to add. Like you said, it's kind of self-explanatory. These are our bank accounts for the IDA, and on this one, we will have out to the BAC as well. Shows our ending balances of 12/31 for our records, the interest rates that we are at currently, the interest earned for the year, and then there's a total summary at the bottom. We generated $4,795.19 interest in the year 2021, from January to December. So kind of a low year on interest, but.
There aren't a lot of investment tools available to us that are safe.
This is pretty limited.
Yeah.
We probably could invest in Bitcoin.
Better keep going.
And then the language on the back is just stuff that was recommended by the auditors last year that has to be included, just to say, that we covered all of our, everything we're supposed to, all our guidelines and disclosure to this. And that's it.
Do your CDs renew every year?
No, there's different ones, there's some of them are 6 months, some 9 months, we've had ones in 13 months, depending on what the best interest rate is that we get at the time, of course, tough.
Yeah.
You kind of shop them around, but you see there's not
Yeah. So, yeah.
Does the controller have any jurisdiction over this, the finances of the ITA?
Well, we're limited on what we can invest our funds in.
Yeah, I mean, as far as what I'm asking, can the controller bring in an audit? And then
Yes. And that's where, like, we do our reports on parents each year,
They have to
and
be
the
very
state
careful.
controllers and the authority budget office, so everything has to be
Absolutely.
reported. And-
Very good.
Do I have a motion to approve the report?
I'll move that.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, you won't find anything in your packet for the MOU. This is simply the annual contract that we have to administer the Wyoming Business Center. It's $20,000 per year. And nothing has changed in the many years that we've been doing that. So I just rather making copies for the board, but we need approval to have the MOU executed.
Okay, any discussion, questions?
So the question, MOU.
Memorandum of understanding.
I'll move it up. I'm moving it. So, now that I understand it.
I have last year's if you want to look at it.
No, no.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed?
Who seconded?
I second.
Thank you.
We got to talk about our schedule for 2022.
Yeah, we've been traditionally meeting on the second Thursday of every month, and just wanted to see if that still works for the board, and if so, we'll nail it down for 2022. Okay.
If anybody cares, I won't be here next month, God willing, because
Snow,
I'm trying,
snow.
I'm trying to get to Antarctica. And
Wow.
that happens. I will be
You'll
back.
be in Antarctica on Saturday.
Hey, so the Bills game.
The Bills game, you'll be able to go right there. Yeah, on TV.
You know, that's getting colder, you know, despite the climate.
Go fishing there, or what is it?
It's catfishing, no, I don't know why I signed up for this, but I did it a long time ago.
It's
You're
good.
actually going to.
Yeah,
I thought there was a duck there
my
somewhere.
biggest problem is scheduling COVID testing with flights, and it goes all the way down, we have to, flying to Miami, in order to get on a plane to Santiago, Chile, you have to have a full PCR, not more than 72 hours old. Once you get to Santiago, you can't leave the airport until you have another full PCR. And so you sit around, and I assume there'll be a lot of people to be tested on the airplane. And then the next day, we have to take a local flight to join the boat in the tip of South America, and you have to have another PCR, which I assume they'll accept the airplane PCR to get on the boat. And then we'll be on the boat for 18 days, and we're coming back to the Falkland Islands,
You want to start a pandemic in Antarctica, that's for sure.
you know.
Oh, freeze it out.
I think they had it, I read that they had it already.
Pardon?
Really? I read that they had it there already.
Don't mention that to my wife. Things are a little frosty at home, and that's not a bad thing.
Go to Antarctica, we warm up.
Go to-
I don't know if we need a motion, but
Little distracted here.
The underground agreement will go ahead and set the schedule and go forward.
okay, let's move then to 3A. And Jim, I'll ask you to go over that for us, please.
Yeah, in your packet is a resolution. This is the Delmar project that is looking to refinance their mortgage. with KeyBank. And so subsequently, because they are gonna have to do that, they need permission from the IDA board because of the agreements that we have in place when their project was approved, so. Nothing more than just a refinance.
Any discussion, questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve a new mortgage for Connect 55 Plus.
This is a question, why do they have to have our approval?
It's a title issue, Tom. So if they can't put the mortgage on behind us, right, because we're ahead of them, so we have to consent to the subordination of certain rights under the lease agreement.
Second.
All in favor?
I need to ask a question. Should I abstain because there's been some, I think we've got it resolved, but there's negotiations underway between the town board and.
It's a different transaction, involving a different municipality. You can abstain if you like it. There's no legal requirement.
I think that might be better if I do, yeah.
All right, we'll mark your vote as an abstention.
You know, thank you.
Okay, Jim?
Yeah, the first action item, or second action item for Silver Locking. Mike Bellamy is recently received approval. As you know, he was building this out in phases. He just got approval for 3 more units. So he's asking for an extension of his sales tax for another year. So it would go into effect if the board approves it and stay in effect until the 31st of 2022.
How does that stand? How many units are there now? Just out of interest. I mean, just a rough.
5 maybe, Scott, how many's he got?
Maybe.
If you count the tent in the tree.
Right.
That's one. The large, you got the mini houses.
Right, there's the 2 big.
There's some on the lakefront,
Right, yes.
About
on the dock, yeah, above the house.
3, 4, yeah,
I
5.
think he's had 5.
I think because he's got platforms with.
And I think we. I'll move that,
All right, go ahead a second. All in favor? And 3C, Jim?
Yeah, the next one is Delaware River, also known as the Pike Solar Projects 1 through 4. The project is under construction, taking a little bit longer to complete that than we anticipated. So they too would like an extension on their sales tax. It expires at the end of this month, so they've asked for an extension to January 31st of 2023.
How far along are they?
They have some of the stanchions up. They did a lot of the site work is done. They started actually about the same time the fair was started over there, so they're making some progress, but they're also having some supply chain issues, just like everything else is.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the request for a 1-year levy? Okay, for a 1-year extension of the Pike Solar projects.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Jim, could you give us your report?
Yes, thank you. Bletchler Valley Campground, just to give you an update on that, one Pike. They're going through their permitting process. I know just yesterday they met with the planning board over at Pike. We still have to meet with the zoning board of appeals on a variance issue. And then one more meeting with the planning board. So it looks like that project is going to be queued up for the February 10th meeting when we're looking at for IDA approval. As your board may recall, we did approve their loan of $200,000, but that has not closed yet either. So both these items are still ongoing. We continue to work with Morton Salt and Silver Springs. They're building a 30,000 square foot warehouse. They too are going through the planning and permitting process. I anticipate the time it's going to take for them to go through that Could be where we probably show up at our March 10th meeting for the IDA board. It's a little over a $6 million project for a 30,000 square foot warehouse. So it's taking a little bit longer than they thought to do the design and prepare the site plan. Select over in JAVA, the board authorized the public hearing. We did hold the public hearing in the town hall in JAVA last week. And then I went down to visit with the company to see how they're progressing. They too are going through the planning and permitting process. It'll take them a while. Likely they will show up at the March or April board meeting for their request for assistance from the IDA. They're building about 7,000 square feet right out the back of the facility. It's a pretty straightforward project. They're also buying a $1 million piece of CNC equipment from Italy that's coming into the facility, and that's what's necessitating the building of the expansion. So I guess they'll do everything, including preparing lunch. This thing really, really tricked out.
So they make a lot of doors, pay $1 million.
Yes, sir, you do. I've also, since the board met with Empire Distributing and Arcade. They are considering a major expansion. The company is a distributor of wood and pellet stoves and outdoor living products. Obviously, the pandemic forced a lot of people to stay home, so a lot of people are doing all these elaborate things out in their yard. Their business is just taking off like gangbusters. So they're going to be building a 60,000 square foot warehouse distribution facility on the current site. It's going to be a $5.5 million project. We're going to create another 10 to 15 jobs. So I've been working, trying to play with the village and the company to see if we can get the arcade water extended out there. They need that to meet fire code for fire suppression. But the pricing we're getting from the village is a little high, so now they're looking at options that may be an on-site fire suppression with a water reservoir. So those things are kind of taking some time coming together, but I anticipate by our next meeting that we will have an application in hand from the company. But the company's done very, very well. We recruited them here from Erie County when they outgrew their space on 16 in the town of Holland. They still own that facility, but this is also going to allow for some consolidation of some of their office people, which they haven't, that are working out at home, and they'll bring it back in. So this is a real good sizable project, and completely independent of Arcade. So,
What was the name? I didn't catch the name.
Empire Distributing.
Empire Distributing, okay.
So the town has been working with Wyoming County Water Resource Agency for a number of years, and the village, the potential of creating a water district out to Genesee, and then further, the need whatever arises, but for right now. And what we were hoping is some of the ARPA money to do that, and Steve Perkins has been working with Jeff Smith, Municipal Solutions, I think it is, to secure a grant to try and facilitate city water out through there, and that would reduce the cost of them. But of course, timing's everything.
Yeah. So really, the water is only 1,200 feet away from the facility currently.
There's probably a hookup out by the Wand Electronics.
Yeah, there is.
Roads building.
With the proposed cost to get the water, the village were to install it, it's like $250,000 to go 1,200 feet. 30,000 of that is the estimated cost to go underneath the Arcade Net River. So those are some preliminary costs that Clark Patterson put together for the village on this. But now the company said, well, how about if we have our own contractors take a look at it? And I checked with the village, that's certainly okay.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
Because the village is paid for their wage.
Yeah.
All that,
So I think there probably will go in this water route, but like you said, well, the timing isn't
We've been talking about it for years, but, you know, funding, and it's really not an expensive project, it's like 400-some thousand, I think. So it's not, you're talking 250 to go, just to go back. This is 400 to go from there to Genesee Road. It doesn't add up, you know what I'm saying?
Depends who's crunching the numbers.
I think so.
I also met with a company called Liberty Power. This is a Canadian company that wants to do a wind turbine project in parts of Perry, Covington, Middlebury, and Warsaw. They're proposing 300 megawatts and 50 to 60 turbines. Companies really at the beginning stages of working on this, and I'm sure they've been in touch with the various supervisors on this project.
Supervisors, but they've been in touch.
Okay. Some projects that are still in the pipeline, the Arctic Hotel project, I don't want to lose sight of the fact that that's still out there, although it has taken a few hits from the willingness of banks to finance new hospitality, the pandemic, and travelers, and then, of course, the new prevailing wage law that went into effect starting January 1. So there's 3 strikes against it, but they still are hanging in there. We still have money in our escrow account from the company, and we never did transfer the land to them yet. But we're trying to hang on to that prospect as long as we can. So I stay in touch with them all the time. TTI Millwright Industries in Perry, they were going to build a new site, new building out on Adrian Road in the town of Perry, up on the racetrack. They just got such a backlog of work for the company, they have not been able to work on this expansion, so that's what happened to this one, or that one. And then, Silver Lake Solar Project, this is a 24.99 megawatt facility in the town of Castle. Robin and I met with the representative of the company to see where they were, and it looks like a couple things that tied up the progress with the project. One is the community host agreement, they don't have that hammered out yet. And then the interconnection agreement that they need with the utilities. So both those items are still being worked on. And then some projects that we're working on getting to a close here shortly, we hope. Alleycat, of course, they're hung up with the Cattaraugus County anti-wind and Town of Freedom and Town of Farmersville anti-wind folks. Although I understand the Town of Freedom, after the last election, had a pro-wind supervisor getting off. So things might change at least in the Town of Freedom. Still working towards the closure for Kelly's Garage. All these have to be done, hopefully, before the 1st of March, which is the taxable status date. I'm not so optimistic about Alleycat, but these others will. Hillcrest Industries in Africa, we have not yet closed on that warehouse project, even though it is complete. The Duke Energy project in the town of Bennington, we have not closed on that. Sunview High East, which is the other solar project in the town of Castile, we have not closed on yet. And then the Orangeville Energy Storage, which is the battery storage project. The project is complete, but we have not gone through the closing on that one yet as well. So some of these are going to get wrapped up before we can March 1st. So I just want to remind the board where we are with those things. Just a couple updates on some business center stuff. We just agreed to sign the MOU with the business center. We worked very hard on getting in an EPA brownfield cleanup grant for the MK site in Arcade. We're asking for $500,000 of funding, and we work with LaBelle and Associates, and we have a private designated developer agreement with a company called Frontier Global out of Buffalo to be our exclusive developer on the project once we start cleaning it up. The other thing that's encouraging about that site, if we don't get this EPA brownfield grant, more than likely we'll chase that restore grant that Kathy Hochul talked about in her State of the State address and wants to put into her budget. That's $1 million grant program. So there's some other options if this EPA thing does not go through, but I'm optimistic it will. We now have, there's an entity formed under the business center called the WCIDA North LLC that now has ownership of the property. I'm waiting for those calls to come in, Doug, from people complaining about what's going on at the site, you know, but.
It's been kind of quiet.
It is pretty quiet, so, which is good. And then the last item is, just want to let everybody know, the fast track program, which is going to start on March 29th, has almost all been filled up already, right, Jennifer?
Yep, there's two openings.
2 spots left. So if you know anybody who wants to start a business, has a business idea, we're running out of space. So that would be my executive director's report, Mr. Chairman.
Could I suggest that we defer item 5 until we do the BAC meeting? And that way everybody won't have to stick around. Does anybody have an objection to doing it as part of that meeting? All right, is there any other business that come before the board?
No, sir.
If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. And the next meeting is scheduled for February 10th, 2022 at 2:30 p.m. Move it. Second. All in favor? Let us move then to the BAC. And we have the same attendance. We again have the minutes from November 18th. Are there any additions, corrections, or discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as submitted. Do I have such a motion? Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. And Robin, would you go through the financial report, which is your custom?
Yes, Chairman, as with the IDA financials, there's both November and December financials. And again, in November, there really wasn't anything out of the ordinary that stands out, but I will mention the principals in BAC, there's a large amount. River Spring Lodge paid off the loan, paid full, and we paid out the proceeds to the Dean loan, $150,000 to the justice. And then if you flip over to the next page, it started out the month of December with $1,668,356 in cash and invested funds. And we didn't, you see, we paid the admin fee that we showed coming in on the IDA side, and we ended up the month with $1,485,706 in cash and $251,032. On the back side is the loan portfolio. Most of our loans look pretty good. We do have a couple of concern carrying hearts that we have addressed with council, and we will be working on getting a formal letter out to them to see what they're going to be doing. They had told us, given us information that they're selling the business and will be paying us off, but we haven't had any correspondence from them since. Trying to find out what's going on. For Heinrich, he had gotten a hold of me and asked me what his payoff amount was. He's been trying to send in some money, but that was a couple weeks ago. I haven't heard anything on him again, so just waiting. And he slowly, little bit by little bit, he's been paying off his loan. And that's the loan.
And can I just add Attica Unlimited, the Attica Hotel, they came off their 1 year of interest only, so they're back on full payment, and he's paying actually additional. Up to 2,000 first.
They did pay additional money.
Yeah, they're off of their interest only that they had from last year. So they're all back with an addition.
I have a question about something that does not appear here. Did we not have a loan with Burley?
Yes, oh, I'm sorry, yes, and then they actually paid off their loan in December. We had the principal amount was when we got a total that we got in from the loans. A chunk of that was from the 86, was it? I forget what the amount was, but they did pay off their loan.
Do we know, or maybe it's not our business, Do we know what's going on with the construction? I think it's on the Burley property in Attica involving the meat processing operation.
Right, it's a slaughterhouse that, his sons are gonna be running. They've been working with Farm Credit East on both the financing as well as the grant. They did get a grant through the CIDA process. So we're starting to come together pretty good. I talked with Bob and Chucky 2 weeks ago, and we're gonna start installation of coolers and those types of things. I was wondering how he would make out in terms of a workforce, when he said they did the advertising for the positions and received about 30 resumes. And so they're pretty optimistic they're gonna be able to put together a pretty good staff.
Where's this at? Where's the?
Warner Road?
East Main, yeah, Willow Road. Really? It used to be a limited use road, but now it's. No, but there's a ton of activity up there, and the gentleman in coffee in the morning, very interesting. So I told him I'd find out.
Yeah, they didn't need to come in for IDA help because it's considered an ag project. And so they automatically fall under the eggs. Okay. With sales tax and the project.
I saw a little article about country folks. Nice. Maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, if anybody knows, the shortage of processors that we have, this thing is gonna be,
They'll fly.
It's a big facility.
It's just new construction.
Yes, they'll put it up in no nonsense fashion, they just put it up.
yeah,
What would they be processing?
primarily custom meat, but they are gonna have a retail, portion in there. We can buy similar to, if you've ever been to,
Falconers.
yeah, Falcon Shop. They have a food retail area in there.
Is this gonna be a bigger operation than Falconers?
I think it'll be a little bit bigger. I don't know if they're gonna get into the smoked products like Falcon sales and that. The other note on the loan report, the other thing that's collected is the Opera House in Attica, which is now paid in full, so. There was some worry about whether or not we were gonna own that property, and it looks like we're not.
Don't you wish you owned the grain mill and?
Excuse me, hold on, across.
A lot of drama.
Administrator wise, he's been doing very well already. Nice to see, we've been just for 8 years. That's great.
But Jim and I had a short conversation about the Attica Opera House, which I have a personal interest in, because our office is across the street, on Exchange Street, Attica. And hopefully there's some movement to get somebody to take over and bring it back to. I was telling Jim that Jim Hardy, our former board member, and I flirted with buying that back in, let's see, the 70s, back when we were playing racquetball out in there, and didn't have a movie, but that was.
The board structure, I hope somebody, we'll work with somebody that wants to see something happen.
Beautiful building.
Can we get a motion to approve the,
Oh, the investment report.
no, the financials?
Oh, do I have a motion to approve the financial report as presented? Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor? Okay. Now we have to go to our
Now
investment report.
And with this, it's the same as with the IDA and kind of self-explanatory. These are fund balances as of the end of December 31st, 2021. What was in our accounts. Some of our accounts, by regulation, can't have interest rate, can't earn interest on, so there's some interest. For the year, we generated $2,754.41, which was for the business assistance corporation.
Any discussion, questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the investment report.
I'll move to approve that.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
I-
Okay. Is there any other business?
I do have a couple quick updated items, and I want to confirm for the people that are responsible for them. I've asked Scott if he would give kind of an update on our strategic plan that we're working on in conjunction with the Chamber and Tourism. HUD account, you saw on there, $51,000. The board authorized to spend $33,000 out of that for the development of our strategic plan. So I've asked Scott to give kind of a quick update on where we are with the consultant and the work he's done and what's ahead.
Sure, thank you. We are entering phase 2, which is the stakeholder interview process. So we're planning that next couple of weeks. It'll be about 2 to 3 days. There'll be 30-minute interviews with about close to 25 to 30 people, depending on if they can all participate. From sectors of government, retail, manufacturing, hospitality, small business. They're focused within what we're looking at in the study. The interviews will take place some here. We're going to try to do some offsite in Arcade and try to do some in Attica as well, just to move the interviewer around and maybe try to get a little bit closer to people that are being interviewed. That will push us then into the final phase of the study, which is going to be the culmination of all the interviews, the information that's been put together thus far, the anonymous visits that took place last year, and then a series of smaller team meetings that'll be with the ED people, and any other feedback that he gets. And then we're looking, hopefully, to have this wrapped up by late spring, early summer, the draft plan that we can look at.
Thank you. And then the second program, I want to give an update from Robin on our micro enterprise grant that we received, $300,000 through the county, and we're administering that program. This is for small businesses to receive grants of $10,000 to $15,000, or $10,000 to $20,000, I guess I should say. So Robin, give the board a quick update on where we are in terms of, we rolled it out and what's happened since.
Yeah, we rolled it out in December, just before Christmas, and we've had 33 people that have contacted me, well, maybe more that have contacted other people around, 33 that I have on my list that have contacted me for more information and the application and whatnot. I have 3 completed applications that have been sent back. And whenever anybody contacts me, I have, info about the grants and the application and then some other, income requirement information that I send to them. We'll be taking the first round of grants that we collect through February 1st, and then that'll go to our grant committee, who will be reviewing and deciding, awards and, making awards, and hopefully by mid-February, hopefully we can start letting people know. There is an educational piece to this that the state requires that they have to complete a small business training course. If they've already taken, say, like a fast track class in the last 12 months, and they're okay, but if it's been more than 12 months, they need to do some kind of a refresher course. Or if they haven't taken anything, they have to, do something. We have a couple options for that. We have the SCORE program that we're going to try to set up. Maybe a day or 2 webinar, depending on the COVID situation, whether that can be in person or not, but we are working on that. And if after the first round, if we still have money, we'll keep taking applications and we'll go forward from there. Like you said, it's a $300,000 grant, $255,000 of it will be going toward grant awards to clients, and $45,000 of it will be toward administration and program delivery. And we have a contract with Harry Sickerman's office to consult with and help us with those background stuff and reporting.
And those are 10,000 to
10 to 20,000, depending on the need and what they can show. And then, of course, we require them to have an owner equity involvement as well, 10%. So if they get a $10,000 grant, they got to put in their own 1,000, or $20,000 grant, they got to put in their own 2,000. And it can be for any construction, like, we don't want to do, we don't want the Davis Bacon, the labor part to kick in, so it's more just for equipment, furniture, fixtures, materials, things like that.
Half the money has to be used for new startups as well. The other half can be built to existing.
That's what our original budget is, we're hoping to get. The share of both.
And so the committee that we had formed that will do the review of it, will be making recommendations to this board. So you folks will be able to see those projects as they come in.
Anything further, John? All right, our next meeting will be February 10th, 2022. And I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss compensation. And I think, assuming that that is approved, you folks will not have to come back to the rest of the meeting, just need to do. Okay. Do I have a second? All in favor?
Yes.
Everybody.
It's got
Do you want me to stay? Or do you want me to-